I was shown the rough cut, a very loosely knit, joined up Mary Poppins by Walt Disney and his wife, the producer, Bill Walsh, no longer with us now, and his wife, and my wife and I. And I saw this film, and I thought it was the worst film I'd ever seen, the most sentimental rubbish. And I practically said to dear darling Walt, well, you can't win them all, Walt, can you? I'm not always right. I love America. I love Hollywood, you see.
Did you work there for a long time when you were working for Disney?
Well, 2 spells, 6 months each for Mary Poppins and Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
People always come here and say, oh, I can't stand Los Angeles.
No, I don't understand that. Oh, I absolutely loved it. It is different, but wonderful. And I like Have a Nice Day. You see, you don't get Have a Nice Day in England. If you want to have a nice day in England, forget it. But in America, they say Have a Nice Day.
You're a gentleman actor, that's what I said. I mean, not a rare breed now.
What do you mean, posh?
Well, yes, kind of posh, but a kind of public school and generally...
Don't knock it
good bearing.
Don't knock it if you haven't tried it, Terry.
I wasn't knocking it at all. I was kind of a compliment, really.
Incidentally, I was relying on you treating with kindness and consideration an unemployed old age pensioner. But Terry, you've changed my career, you know. You revived my career.
Thanks.
Well, everybody thought I was dead, you see. And the phone has been going. Great. The biography is in demand.
Yes, you said you'd never going to write a biography, and they've all been ringing you since, have they?
Well...
Because you would have quite a lot of searing personal details on a lot of people to tell, wouldn't you?
Well, I don't know about that.
Do you ever do any Shakespeare?
Once.
Did you?
The Merchant of Venice with Sir John Gielgud.
What did you play?
Well, not much. No. But Gielgud played Shylock. I can do a quick burst of Gielgud.
Can you?
Yeah.
Oh, quick.
If you prick us, do we not bleed? And if you wrong us, shall we not revenge the villainy?
That's good, the villainy. You know, I very nearly, my life might have been different. Because I was enjoying myself at Northampton Rep before you were born. And of all things, Tyrone Guthrie came down. Mm-hmm. If you would like to come and see me in London, please do so. And of course, I got a commercial job and I never went near him. So I might have been you, Nadia, mightn't I?
Yes, well, it is odd, those little turnings that you take on.
I went for the money instead, you see.
Do you regret that?
Not at all, not at all.
He was being so bashful. The first play I ever saw in the West End he was in, All for Mary, was it called? All for Love?
All for Mary.
All for Mary. I was right up at the top of the gods. Duke of York's, was it? Something like that?
Duke of York's, yes.
And I looked down, I only ever saw the top of your head, but you were terribly good.
Wasn't I?
Very funny.
How nice of you to say. Was it really true?
Yes.
The very first play you ever saw?
You and Michael Shepley and Kathleen Harrison.
Now listen, tell me, how did you get into the business? Because the last time I talked to you, it was a conversation like the one we've had so far, and we didn't actually establish anything about you. Now the book tells great stories of your theatrical and film days. You were a great favourite of Walt Disney, weren't you? I mean, he loved you, and his wife loved you, and...
Well, he's the only man who ever employed me 3 times.
So, he must have liked you.
That's something to be proud of, isn't it?
Yeah. And Mrs. Disney, did you get... nobody ever hears of Mrs. Disney.
Well, I liked her very much.
Yeah.
There is an interesting story about when he was making Snow White, and he ran out of money halfway through the filming. And he was terrified, because all the other big-wig moguls were hoping he'd fall on his face, of course. So he took Mrs. Disney to a Rush theatre to see what had been shot, half the film. Snow White, the 7 Dwarfs. And she came out into the sun, and Walt said, "What do you think?" And she said, "Well, I don't know why you're making the film. I don't like dwarfs anyway." He didn't like being told that he had the common touch, but he did. He knew what the public wanted, and he gave it to them, and they loved it.
Why did he like you?
Well, he had very good taste, of course. He knew class when he saw it.
And you sang, of course?
Beautifully.
I think the nicest thing about you, or indeed if you have a fault, it's probably your modesty.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Quite right.
Did you? I saw just somewhere that you're the one who's responsible for Dick Van Dyke's appalling Cockney accent in Mary Poppins.
No, that's not
you
true.
taught him how to speak like that.
No, I didn't. But Walt said to me, "Will you give him a hand?" You see, and I arrived a little after Dick had already shot a day or two on the film, and I thought he was very good actually, and I did have a go. It's a very difficult thing for an American to speak Cockney. Easier for a Cockney to speak American.
Yeah, it
or
is.
something. Anyway, and Walt said, "What do you think?" And I said, "I think he's doing very well." And he said, "Well, Mr. Tomlinson," he was always very formal, "it doesn't matter too much if his Cockney isn't too good, because I am not making the film just for East London."
David Tomlinson.